Hey moms, welcome to episode 64. Today I have Arlette Revells, and she is the author of The Joys of the Not So Perfect Woman. I know this book title is going to relate to many of us, and I can't wait for you to listen in. Stay tuned. Hello, moms. Welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast. I am so glad you're here. I'm Jennifer Bosma, wife, mom, grandma, former teacher for 23 years, and now a Christian children's book author and your podcast host. Are you a faith-based mom trying to live out a Christian life for your family? Do you want to learn more ways that you can have power over your child's spiritual growth? Inside this podcast, you will find tried and true ideas to grow in your faith and be the best wife and mom you can be. So listen in as you're cleaning up, doing the drive, or matching that sock, and be encouraged to know that God has his front parking spot set aside for you. Hello, moms, and welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast. Today, I have Arlette Revells, and she has a great message for you busy moms. She is the author of Joys of the Not So Perfect Woman, Stories of Holy Awareness Moments with a Perfect God. Arlette has been married for 57 years. She's a mom, a grandmom, and a newly great-grandma. She's a first great-grandchild, and she has so much wisdom for you mamas. And not to mention, she is a business owner. I want to welcome Arlette. Thanks for coming on the Front Parking Spot podcast.
Hi, Jennifer, and hello to everyone listening. I'm delighted to be here today, and I appreciate the invitation, Jennifer.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. When I first heard your book title, The Joys of the Not So Perfect Woman, I was cracking up because the moms in this audience, me included, every mom can so relate to that. Tell us your inspiration for the moms that we have today, because I know they're going to relate to this message.
Well, one of the first things I would like to say, I would like to remind all the moms that while their to-do list may never end, their worth is not defined by their productivity. I think sometimes, and maybe I think this because I got caught up in the supermom syndrome when my kids were younger, and I wore myself out. I grew up in a Christian home, and I accepted Christ as my savior when I was a young girl. And so I wanted to do everything right. When I got married and then had my first child during my first year of marriage and second child during the second year of marriage. They were like 16 months apart. My husband was still in school. I had dropped out of school when we got married to work and help him get finished with school. And then I was going back. Well, life took on a different path for me. And I look now back and realize that it was a pathway that God had for me. And even though we make our plans and have our own ideas about how things are going to happen, don't be surprised when they don't happen that way, but you can look forward as a Christian, as a Christ follower, that we can depend on that verse in Psalm 25 that says, "Show me your ways, Lord. Teach me your paths." And I've learned to pray that verse many times, even during a day, to pray it many times during the day, to be in contact. But I would like to share a story that I am a storyteller.
I love it. And you're very engaging and fun. I love it.
Well, that I recognize that that's one of the gifts that God's given me. But I was listening to a life story of a young lady, Sue, that told about how she and her husband for 14 years had tried unsuccessfully to become pregnant and have a child. So she'd been praying, and she felt like the Lord had given her a word that he was going to give them a baby that year. And so she said that God gave her instructions. She said, "I've read the Bible through many times." She said, "But God said, start again." and get up earlier and read. And that's the key, is being in touch with God. But she said she started reading it again, got up earlier in the mornings. And you know what? God spoke to me when I heard those words. This was several years ago, and it was at the end of a year. It was in December. And I felt I was to, even though I had read the Bible through several times, I was to start again that January. So I was working full time outside the home. We had two children in school. My my life was just so busy that I'm thinking, God, are you saying get up earlier? I'm already tired from everything I'm doing. And you know what? He gave me the grace to do it. So I started getting up an hour earlier than I normally did to get the family together and off. And it just became such a an intimate time with God. The more I did it, the more intimate I knew that our relationship was becoming, because I was giving of myself to the relationship. God's always there. He's always waiting for us. And it made a tremendous difference in my life. And so Sue continued on. It's a beautiful story. Actually, it's in my book, and it will just be quite meaningful as you read that story if you do purchase my book. But the essence of it was God spoke to me through her story. And so that's what my book is. My book is a book of real life stories of women who have had an everyday encounter with God, a special encounter. And that's what I call holy awareness moments. So in my book, I'm hoping it will encourage moms to share their stories with one another. One of the things that is very important as a young mom is to develop friendships. If you don't pour into yourself, you have nothing to give out. I think that was one of my problems. I felt that I was to just give, do everything I thought I was supposed to be doing as a Christian, and everything I thought everybody else thought I should be doing, and plus trying to be super mom. And, that's pretty tiring. So I learned that you don't have to be perfect.
I love that because moms definitely need a refilling.
Yes.
And, we're always giving out. And sometimes, and I like what you said about the morning time, because that's when I get up too. But one catch, I've caught myself, if I'll get up and look at my phone to see the time, and then I'll see a text message when I'm getting up for my quiet time. And
Yes.
then I go down that rabbit hole of, oh, what they say. And then I'm like, oh, goodness. And I start engaging. I'm like, wait, nope, this is my quiet time with God.
Yes.
Put the
Yes.
phone away, or
Yes.
or if you use it for reading your Holy Bible app or whatever, but just really prioritize that time with God, because the distractions will try to come in. Because
That's the key word.
yes,
Prioritize your
yes,
time. You
put it
can
away.
take the time, and when you do that,
Mm.
God will give you the energy you need for your day. And He'll give you ways to accomplish things that you hadn't really thought about before. It's a new way of doing it, but things get done faster. It's amazing. It's hard to describe.
And what I like what you said too is God has a way to make our plans. He does our plans the way they should be. And as moms, we're kind of the organizers of the home, and we're the schedulers. We moms get a way to do things. They get, okay, we're
Yes.
going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this. And they're a little bit OCD in their plans. I'm sure some moms can relate to that. But when we stop and let God be the mastermind of the plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever it is, his plans are always best. And I think when we went through all the issues we did a couple of years ago, with in 2020 with schedules being changed, I think we got a little bit more flexible, with
Yeah.
that. But,
Yes.
I just like to say that his plans are the best. And I work in the pregnancy center and I have a lot of women coming in with an unplanned pregnancy and they were not, having a baby three or a baby four was not in their plans or even a baby one. And then
Yes.
I'm like, wait, just let God's plans do it. And just yesterday, I had a girl come back in. She had her baby number six. Uh,
Wow.
Husband had left her, and she has a very, very difficult story. But she told me, she goes, I am so glad that you spoke life because God knew I needed this baby number six because this baby number six is the healing and she goes, it's just beautiful. And so we have to go with what God has because he has the plans better than we do.
Oh, absolutely. I love to speak it this way.
Mhm.
I believe that God has put, and with my business, we specialize in visual communication. So there's probably a good reason for that. It's because I'm a very visual person. And I like to think of it as God has placed when he created us and saw us being formed in our mother's wombs, he placed within us a musical chord. And when we're born, if we allow him to play that musical chord, life takes on so much more meaning.
Mm.
We understand life better when we allow him to play the musical chord, the gift, whatever he placed within us. We're each different. Let him play it, and life takes on new meaning.
Oh, I love that. It is a great visual. And to do what he has, not the should do's. We don't need any should do's.
No, no.
No, but I love the joys of the not so perfect woman because I think we as moms want to be, the perfect woman and the Proverb 31 woman. And
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In fact, when I first started writing the book, and the someone asked me, "Why did you write this book?" Number one, I felt I was directed. That was one of my assignments from God. But also, I had an experience. I was headed to an ambulance on a stretcher. And the last thing I remembered was going down the elevator and seeing the oxygen tank above me. And I became unconscious before they even got me to the ambulance. But my husband was in the passenger seat. And he said the ambulance took off. He said, but soon the people working on you in the back of the ambulance yelled to the driver, slow down. If we don't get her responding, there's no need to rush to the hospital. During those moments, I had a real intimate experience with God that really continued to change my life.
Mm,
And then at some point, I came back into my body
mhm,
and I heard someone yelling, "Kept moving, kept moving. She's responding." And what happened between those things inspired me. People have got to know
yeah.
God is an intimate God. God is with us, and there is a real heaven. Earth is, when we move from earth on, it's a birthing. The people on earth call it death, but the angels call it birth.
Mm,
And it is true. What we study and read in the Bible, God is our deliverer. God is the one who will lead and direct us, and he wants an intimate relationship with us. And that makes all the difference in life. And so that was the impetus for me getting the book written. And I originally started it with a study of the Proverbs 31 woman. And I'm thinking, okay. And so I tried out the title with different women. And I said, what do you think about Joys of the Perfect Woman? And everyone said, That's not for me. That's not me. So I knew that it was to be Joys of the Not So Perfect Woman because I really fit into that category. But in my book, I discuss the different types of beauty or the different types of joy, the joy of inner beauty, the joy of perfect love, the joy of the ultimate beauty secret, the joy of being unique. The joy of the little green bag is a beautiful story. The joy gift, and that's the story, the adoption story that I started the broadcast with, telling about Sue's life story. It is amazing story. I wish I had time to tell the whole story here. The joy of redeemed time and the joy of facing fear, the joy of redeemed time. And I end with the joy of God's love story.
I love that. You're saying joy, joy.
Yes, yes,
And that is what moms need more of. And it's so simple if we just really let God come in and flood us with the joys of every day and just seeing the little things and opening our eyes to all the things He has. And that's what I like what you wrote about the holy awareness moments.
yes.
Because sometimes it's just the little things that just let Him, like, let the mama know, hey, He's got me. I'm good.
Yes, it's almost like a hug from God. I mean, that's the way I visualize it. Being a graphics person, it's a hug from God.
I love this, Arlette. It's so good. Well, tell us. I will have all this on the show notes, but give our listeners how they can find you, find your book, and connect with you.
Well, the book is available on Amazon.com, and you can go to my website to get more information, arletterevells.com.
Mhm.
And I look forward to meeting and online, even people who want to contact me through my website and have questions, or I love communicating with people.
Oh, I love this, Arlette. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. And I just love your audience. I haven't met a single one of them, but I know I love every one of them.
Oh, they're sweet mamas. And this is going to bring them to the forefront of their mind as we start this new year of joy. Thanks
Yes.
for being here today, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
Well, mamas, thank you so much for joining in. I know you are super busy doing all the things that can consume your day, but you took a couple of minutes to learn how God wants to build you up in your faith, family, and life, and He wants to applaud you for this. Please subscribe and review my show. This helps other moms tune in as well. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram at Front Parking Spot, on Facebook at Front Parking Spot Mom Community, or my website at jenniferbosma.com. Have an Ephesians 3:20 type of day, mamas, and be encouraged as you go for the front parking spot in your life today. God bless.